Hello, I'm Jamie Rowlett. Thank you for joining me for this Yoga Evolve class. We're going to be going through a Vinyasa Flow. So often in yoga, we're really concerned about range of motion and improving our flexibility. We are going to be looking at that today, but we're also going to be working on building strength, particularly in the posterior chain, an area that we often stretch in yoga and lengthen. We really build a lot of strength there, so trying to focus on that today. But this will still be a well-rounded, balanced practice. So regarding injuries, if you feel any pain during this practice, please skip that pose, please modify. These guys will be modifying, you modify too. So we're going to get started. We're going to start on our backs with the soles of our feet together, knees falling out to the side in reclining butterfly pose. So again, the temptation here is always to try and go as deep as you can, trying to force your knees to the ground. So trying to avoid that, trying to concentrate on keeping a completely flat back and allowing the knees to make their own way down towards the mat. And taking these first few moments to check in with the body, starting to adjust to our new surroundings, starting to get into that yoga mindset. So turning off from the outside world and tuning into the body. And trying to center our awareness into the sensations within the body. And every time our mind inevitably starts to wander away during this practice, keep bringing it back to that mantra of the breath. And slowly bringing the knees into the chest, taking a gentle rock here from side to side. And we're going to bring our feet down to come into a bridge pose. So classic alignment point would be knees over ankles, but finding the position that works for you. And on an inhale, slide your ribs away from the hips. On an exhale, hips go straight up to the sky. And then moving backwards and forwards in your own time, so lowering back down to the ground, and when you're ready, pressing back up into bridge pose. So you might be feeling this in your glutes, in your hamstrings, in your core. You shouldn't be feeling this in your knees, so if you're feeling this in your knees, maybe you change the angle of your feet, maybe you take your feet wider, maybe you walk your feet a little bit further forwards. And we're going to meet on our backs again, lowering yourself down to the ground. Extend your right leg, taking the sole of the foot towards the sky. And press down through the sole of the left foot, reach that right foot high towards the ceiling, lifting the glutes high, lifting high for 3, for 2, for 1, lowering back down. Now start to imagine that you're trying to roll up a carpet with your left foot, so you're pulling that heel back towards your glute, press down again, lift the right foot high, right foot heading towards the ceiling for 3, for 2, for 1, lowering down. Walking that left foot 5 centimeters further forward, start to pull the heel back towards your glutes, press down through the foot, take the glutes high towards the sky. Keep extending that right leg. Keep pressing down through the sole of the left foot, lowering down. Walking your left foot 5 centimeters further forward again. Pull that heel back in towards the glute. Press down through the foot. Lift the right foot high. Keep extending that right leg. Really firing up the glutes. Lower yourself back down. Last one, I promise. We're walking the left foot as far forward as you can, keeping the toes grounded. Press through that heel, press through the sole of the foot, take the other foot up to the sky for 3, for 2, for 1, lowering back down. Bring the right ankle on top of the left thigh. Bring your left knee towards you, coming into eye of the needle pose. So we should have a triangle between our legs, reaching through this triangle, interlacing your fingers behind your hamstring. And we have a few options here. You might flex your toes if you're feeling any discomfort in the knee. Maybe you allow the toes of your left foot to point down towards the mat. Maybe that increases the sensation. Maybe use your right elbow to start to open up the groin a little bit more. And releasing the hamstring. Maybe bringing the knees into the chest, taking a gentle rock. And preparing to take this sequence on the opposite side. So coming back to our bridge pose position. This time we're taking the left foot towards the sky, extending that left leg. Press down through your right foot. Left foot goes high towards the ceiling. Lifting for 3, for 2, for 1. Lowering back down. And start to get this pulling action again. Start to imagine you're rolling up that carpet with the right foot. You're pulling the heel back towards your glute. Press down through the foot. Take the left foot towards the sky. Lifting the glutes high for 3, for 2, for 1. Lowering down. Walking that right foot 5 centimeters further forward. Start to pull the heel back. Press the left foot to the sky. Lifting glutes high, extending for 3, for 2, for 1, lowering down. Guess what's next? We're going to walk the right foot 5 centimeters further forward, pulling that heel back again, pressing down through the foot, straightening the left leg to the sky for 3, for 2, for 1, lowering down. Walking your right foot as far forward as you can, but still keeping the toes down. Press down through the foot, lift the other foot to the sky. If you start to feel cramp in this pose, know that that is just weakness leaving the body. Power through it. Lowering yourself back down. Bringing your left ankle on top of your right thigh. Coming into that eye of the needle pose. Bringing the knee towards the chest. Interlacing your fingers behind the hamstring. Option to start opening up the groin more, using your left elbow if you wish. And then releasing the hamstrings, bringing the knees into the chest, taking a gentle rock, and then taking the soles of both feet towards the sky, lifting your head, letting the heels fall to the ground. Come into staff pose, come into a simple seated pose. So we're going to do some hip flexor raises, pointing the toe on your right foot, leaning forward, engaging your core. Start to lift that right foot higher. So we're pointing the toes and we're doing 3 repetitions on each side. So in your own time, raising the foot high, lowering down. Engaging the hip flexor, raising the leg high, lowering down. Trying to do 3 good repetitions. So trying to avoid leaning back and just lifting our foot high. We can all do that. Trying to lean forward, trying to have control. Once you've done 3 on the right, we do 3 on the left. Pointing the toes, really engaging your hip flexor. And once we've done 3 on both sides, we bring the feet together, point the toes on both feet. Try and lift both legs. Incredibly hard, doesn't look impressive, but very useful. Lowering the legs down to the ground, come to a simple seated pose, rock forward and step back into downward facing dog. Walking out the dog. So this might be your first downward dog of the day, so we're not trying to force our heels to the ground here, we're just taking this time to loosen up. And then slide yourself forward into high plank, turn the biceps forward, dome the back, and then moving back into downward facing dog. We're just going to move between these 2 postures in your own time and try to just use the core to move you. So we're trying to take the arms out of the equation. Obviously that's impossible. We are using the hands to keep ourselves up. but making the movement through the core. So the core pulls you forward, pulls you back in your own time. Doing one more and then meeting in high plank. Lowering yourself all the way down to the ground. Come into Sphinx pose, so bringing our elbows underneath our armpits, taking a back bend here. So we're not concentrating on how high we can come in this pose. We're trying to pull our chest forward. So using the fingers, using the forearms to bring the chest forward. Pressing the top of the feet into the mat, lifting the knees. And we're going to come into a forearm plank. So pressing the forearms into the mat, come onto your toes, start to lift the middle of the body, heels to the back of the room, pressing into the forearms. And then lowering yourself back down. Come into Sphinx pose, pulling the chest forward, lengthen the spine here. Quadriceps engaged, knees are lifted. And then come into our forearm plank again, pressing your forearms into the ground, lifting the middle of the body, heels pressing back to the wall, making sure you're in one straight line. A plank is one straight line, lowering down, lowering down. Lower yourself all the way down, Sphinx pose, pulling the chest forward. Last time, coming onto our toes, pressing through the forearms, not collapsing into them, pressing forearms into the ground, forearm plank. Making this more exciting, bring your right knee to your right elbow, back to forearm plank, left knee to left elbow, back to forearm plank, lower yourself all the way down to the mat, forehead to the ground, arms long, legs long, so it looks like Superman flying. Your forehead is on the ground, your arms are outstretched. So we're going to work into an area of the body that for many people is very tight, very weak. The serratus anterior, this muscle underneath the armpit. So to do that, we're going to turn our right palm over. So the right palm faces the ceiling for the whole of this posture. So imagine that we're holding a cup of tea in a very extravagant way in this hand. We're not going to spill the tea throughout the pose. So bending the knee on the left side, bringing your left heel towards your glute. Reach back with your left hand and take a hold of the foot. And then keeping your left knee down, kick straight back into the hand. Keep lifting that right palm to the ceiling. Keep extending the right arm. Keep the bicep in line with the ear. Kicking straight back into your hand for 3, for 2, for 1. Lowering down, lowering down. Relaxing, preparing to do the opposite side. So we take our left hand forward, keep that palm facing the ceiling. That's the key point of this pose. Bend the right knee, reach back, take a hold of your foot. Consciously try and keep that right knee grounded. Kick straight back into your hand. Keep the left palm facing the ceiling, lift the hand high. Keep kicking back into the leg. Keep lifting the hand high for 3, for 2, for 1, lowering down, lowering down. So we can see that even just lifting an empty hand can be quite difficult. We're going to make a little bit of a variation here. We're going to add some weight. So taking a hold of your block and just squeezing the block with the heels of your hand, taking the fingers out of the equation. So we're squeezing the block, we're straightening our arms, our forehead stays on the mat, lifting the block high. So keep squeezing the block, keep lifting it high for 3, for 2, higher for 1, lowering down, lowering down. Press yourself back into child's pose. So making child's pose a little bit more active. Start to walk your hands forward so you're just on your fingertips. Start to wrap the armpits in, taking the belly into the spine, lifting the head an inch, and then sliding your shoulder blades down your back. And then we're going to bring our right hand on top of our left and start using the fingertips of the left hand to walk to the left side of the mat. Keep wrapping that right armpit down. Keep sliding the shoulders down your back, trying to stay on the fingertips of that bottom hand if possible. And then walking your way back to the center. And preparing to go the opposite way. So we're bringing left hand on top of right, fingertips of the right hand creeping to the right side of the room. For most people, you should be able to walk even off of your mat. Keep wrapping that left armpit down, keep sliding your shoulder blades back. And then making your way back to the center. Come into all fours into a tabletop position. We're just going to come into some cat-cows. So we know that we inhale on cow, we exhale on cat. So taking that movement in your own time. Inhaling on cow, exhaling on cat. But then when we come to cow, making a slight movement with the biceps, turning the biceps slightly forward. And when we come to cat, let the elbows slightly flare out. So when we add this internal and external rotation, we're creating space for the shoulders to move a little more freely. And when we come to cow, a little less movement with the neck, not throwing the neck back, but leading with the chest. And when we come to cat, imagining cat is the most difficult posture you're going to do all day, really trying to arch your back, taking the spine to the ceiling. Doing a couple more repetitions in your own time. Inhaling to cow, exhaling to cat. And then meeting in a tabletop position. Going to take our right knee towards our right wrist and then wrap it over your left leg. Sitting back into cow face pose, shoelace pose. And then taking your arms wide, pushing away to imaginary walls or high-fiving your neighbor. And then taking your left arm under the right, interlace the elbows, bring the palms together. So then we're starting to try and make that eagle fly. We're starting to raise the elbows, start to push the elbows away from you, start to slide the shoulder blades down your back. So keep lifting the elbows, gazes through the forearms. So if you're enjoying this posture, you're probably not doing it. So keep lifting the elbows, keep pushing the arms away, gazing through the forearms. And then releasing that bind, pushing away those imaginary walls. Bringing the hands down to the ground. We're going to walk away from the top leg and we're going to walk all the way around and end up in cow face pose on the opposite side. So walking all the way around, going to cow face pose on the opposite side. If that made no sense for you, just come to cow face pose on the opposite side. Pushing away those imaginary walls again. Bringing the right arm under left, interlacing your elbows, sliding the shoulders away, starting to raise the elbows, starting to push the elbows out away from the body. Gazing through the forearms, keep lifting the elbows, keep pushing the arms away. And then lowering your hands down. Going to make our way back to child's pose, so uncrossing the legs, just making your way back to child's pose and coming straight back into downward facing dog. Just walking out the dog. We're still warming up, we're still loosening up here. And taking another inhale, and at the end of your exhale, making your way to the top of the mat. Taking a grip of opposite elbows and just dangling here, just dangling, letting your head hang heavy. Head is hanging down towards the ground. And then you can release those elbows and let the fingertips just hang down to the mat. Maybe start to draw some patterns in the sand here, really loosening up, swaying from side to side. So we're just trying to find length in the spine here. Maybe you keep your knees bent, maybe that's uncomfortable, maybe you straighten your legs, just concentrating on rehydrating those discs in the vertebrae. And then we're going to find a twist here, so bringing your right hand outside of your left leg, take your left hand to the sky, finding a twist. And coming back to the center, going the opposite way, left outside of right, right hand to the sky, finding that twist. And coming back to the center, tucking the chin to the chest, rolling up one vertebrae at a time, slowly, slowly. And when you do get to the top, just start to roll the shoulders back, roll the shoulders forward, rolling out any kinks and strains in the back before coming to mountain pose. So maybe you practice with your big toes together and a thumbs gap between the heels. Maybe you have your feet slightly wider. Either is fine for today. What we're definitely looking for is that external rotation though, palms facing forward. We're going to come into our half sun salutation. So inhaling, your hands up to the sky. Exhaling, hands to the ground, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale to fold. And inhaling, hands up to the sky. Exhaling, hands to heart center, back to mountain pose. Running through one more half sun salutation. Inhaling, hands up to the sky. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Now pausing here, trying to bring your hands by your hips like aeroplane wings, palms facing down, palms facing the floor, and then start to slide your shoulder blades away from your ears and start to try and back bend here. So trying to do the opposite thing to what we're doing all day when we're looking at our iPhones, trying to back bend. So we're coming into this kind of R shape. So we're really activating our back muscles here, preparing for the upcoming back bend. Take another inhale here, and then take your hands back down to the ground. Inhale and sweep the hands up to the sky. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Coming back to mountain pose. So keeping our halfway lift like this just for today's practice. So we're going to come into our full sun salutation A. Inhaling your hands up to the sky. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Keep those aeroplane wings. Exhale to fold. Stepping back to plank pose. Lower all the way down to the ground. Come into cobra pose. And exhaling back to downward facing dog. Taking one full breath here. At the end of your exhale, making your way to the top of the mat. Inhale, active halfway lift, straight legs, straight back. Exhale to fold. Inhale, sweep the hands to the sky. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Back to mountain pose. Full sun A now. We can introduce chaturanga and up dog if that's in your practice. Inhaling, hands to the sky. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, elongate. Exhale to fold. Step back into chaturanga or plank. Flow through your vinyasa, up dog or cobra. Meeting back in downward facing dog. Taking one full breath. At the end of your exhale, either hop, step, jump to the top of the mat. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Inhale, sweep your hands to the sky. Exhaling, hands to heart center, back to mountain pose. Starting to flow again. Inhaling, hands to the sky. Exhale, hands to the ground. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Step back, chaturanga or plank, lower down and take up dog or cobra. Pressing yourself back into downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, we're going to take our right foot to the sky. And then take your right knee to right elbow. And then start to take your foot back to the sky again. Keep it here, keep it here. We're going to try and find as much length from our wrist to our ankle as possible. So really straightening that right leg. Start to twist a little towards your right. Keep pressing down through that right hand. Keep straightening that right leg. And then squaring the hips, bringing the knee all the way down the middle, kissing the knee if you can. Take the foot back to the sky. And then bring the knee across the body to the left elbow. Kick your foot out. Come to the outside of your foot. Take your left hand to the sky. So we're pressing down through the outside. So bring the outside of your foot here. And then take your left hand to the sky. Back to three-legged dog. Back to three-legged dog. Come forward into downward facing dog. And then sliding forward to high plank. Pausing here in high plank. So make sure you're turning your biceps forward, heavy through the inside of the wrist, doming the upper back. And then lowering all the way down to the ground. Come into cobra pose. Come into cobra pose. From cobra pose, we're going to lift our hands just an inch off of the ground. So we're now just using our back muscles here. And then bring the hands behind you like aeroplane wings. Lift the feet. Lift the back of the head towards the ceiling, lower down, but stay exactly as you are. So lower your head down, lower your feet down, relax, relax, palms to the ground, feet to the ground, head to the ground, relax. We will get another chance to do that, don't worry. So on the next inhale, lifting the back of the head, gazes down, lifting the feet, lifting the hands. Try and bring your hands higher than your bum if you can, palms are down, really engaging our back here. And then lowering yourself back down, pressing yourself back to child's pose. Pausing in child's pose for a moment. And then moving back into downward facing dog. Taking your right foot to the sky. Take your right knee to the right elbow. And then take your foot back to the sky. We're going to do something a bit different here. So right knee to right elbow again. Taking your foot back to the sky. Right knee to right elbow. Keep it here. Spin your left foot out like warrior one. Take the sole of your foot to the ground. Keep your right knee on your elbow. Take your left hand to the sky. Eye of the tiger. Pressing down through that right hand. Gazing at the corner of the mat. For 3, for 2, for 1, three-legged dog, right foot to the sky, and then stepping your right foot outside of your hands, coming down to a version of lizard. So we're going to walk our right foot slightly forward, slightly out. Just come onto your fingertips and make sure you're squeezing this right knee in. So we're not doing the yin version, we're not letting our knee flare out, we're squeezing our right knee in. Start to walk forwards on your fingertips. So we're trying to find length in the back and the neck here. So we're not trying to just collapse and get our head down to the ground. We're doing the opposite of that. We're finding length. And then starting to walk your hands back again. Press your left palm into the ground. Take the right hand to the sky, finding a twist. Gazes up at the hand. So start to turn your left bicep forward. Slide your shoulder blades away from your ears. And then take a bend in the back knee, bring the heel towards your glute, reach back and take a hold of the little toe side of your foot. So bend in your back knee, taking a hold of the little toe side of your foot if you can. Start to kick back into your hand and use that power to twist a little bit more, taking your chin away from your chest. And then coming back to the center, stepping back into plank pose. Flowing through your vinyasa, meeting back in downward facing dog. And from downward facing dog, we're going to take our right foot to the sky again. Step your right foot to the top of the mat. Come to a low lunge. Left knee on the ground, low lunge, hands to the sky. Turning your little fingers in, biceps to the back of the room. Really finding length in the side body here. And then bringing our hands together in prayer, start to find a twist. Bring your left elbow outside of your right thigh, but don't let it touch just yet. Keep it hovering. So we're just using our core to twist. Now you can let it touch. Maybe you twist a little bit more. This is where the fun part of the class begins. We're going to turn this into a standing pose. So coming onto the toes of your back foot, maybe keep your gaze down. Start to straighten the back leg, really engage in your quadriceps. On an inhale, lift your glutes higher. On an exhale, lower your knee and hover it just an inch from the ground. Then inhale, engage and straighten. Lift the glutes high. Exhale, lower and hover. Inhale, engage and straighten. Lift the glutes high. See, yoga can be so much fun. Exhale, lower and hover. Inhale, engage and straighten. Just doing this for the next half an hour. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to square our hips, bring our hands behind us like aeroplane wings. Fly forward to warrior three. If you can't fly forward, stumble forward, walk forward. Just make your way to warrior three. So this should be a lot like the halfway lift we were doing earlier, treating this almost as a back bend. Core is switched on. Top of our left foot is facing down at the mat. We're not opening our hips. We're trying to build strength in this class. Bring your hands down to the ground. Take a micro bend in your right knee. Come to standing splits, lifting that left leg high. So this may not be standing splits for many of us. This may be standing, lift your leg halfway up. As long as we're finding that activation in the back of the leg, that's all we're looking for, melting your chest down towards the shin. Now walking your hands a little bit further forward, bringing your palms flat on the ground, take weight into the hands, come onto the tiptoes of your right foot. Maybe just practice taking weight into the hands, maybe take some little handstand hops, maybe hop up into a handstand. We're going to be here for a couple of breaths, so taking the time to experiment, practice. Just get used to bearing weight in your hands. Really nice, guys. And we're going to meet in halfway lift. So bringing your feet together, finding a halfway lift. Exhaling to forward fold. Inhaling, sweeping your hands to the air. Exhaling, bringing your hands to heart center. Coming back to mountain pose. Closing the eyes, checking in with the body. Noticing how you're feeling now. Maybe you're feeling like you want to stop this video and go and do something else. Trying to resist that temptation. Inhaling, starting to flow again. Sweep the hands to the sky. Exhale, hands to the ground. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold, step back, plank or chaturanga. Flow through your vinyasa, meeting back in downward facing dog. So we're going to take our left leg to the sky and then bring your left knee to left elbow. Take the left foot back to the sky. Start to find length in the side body. So not opening the hips here, we're just trying to find length in the left side of the body. So really straightening that left leg. Then start to twist a little bit to the left hand side. Keep straightening the leg, keep twisting, and then square the hips, bring the knee down the middle, kiss the knee if you can, then take the foot back to the sky. Bring the left knee across the body to right elbow, kick your foot out, come onto the outside of the foot, right hand to the sky. And coming back to three-legged dog. Lower back down to downward facing dog, slide forward to high plank. And then lower all the way down to the ground, come into cobra pose. Cobra pose. Exhaling back to child's pose, moving straight back into our downward facing dog. Taking that left foot to the sky again, step the left foot outside of the hands. We'll come into that version of lizard, so walk your foot slightly forward, slightly out, come onto your fingertips, keep squeezing that left knee in. Squeezing the knee against the arm, walking the fingertips forward, keeping a long neck here. If you can see your groin in this pose, you're definitely rounding, so trying to avoid that. And then walking your hands back, press your right hand into the ground this time. Find that twist the opposite way. Left hand to the sky, gazes up at the hand, bicep turning forward, shoulders away from ears. And taking a bend in that back knee, reaching back and holding the little toe side of your foot. Start to kick into that hand. Use that power to twist a bit more, lifting your chin away from your chest. It's a big difference between this kind of rotation and this kind of rotation. So we're looking for that external rotation here. And then coming back to the center, pressing yourself back into plank pose. Flowing through your vinyasa, up dog or cobra. Meet back in downward facing dog. Taking the left foot to the sky, stepping the left foot to the top of the mat, low lunge. Reaching high, turning those biceps to the back of the room. And bringing our hands into prayer. Start to take that twist again, taking your right elbow outside of your left thigh. Don't let it touch yet. We're just hovering an inch away. Now you can let it touch. Maybe you twist a little bit more. And then coming into that fun part of the class again, we're going to turn this into a standing pose. So coming onto the toes of the right foot, maybe keep your gaze down for balance. Extend that right leg, really engaging the quadricep. Inhale and lift your glutes high. Exhale, lower and hover your knee just an inch from the ground. Inhale, engage and straighten. Exhale, lower and hover. Inhale, engage and straighten, lifting glutes high. Exhale, lower and hover. Inhale, engage and straighten. Squaring our hips, bringing the hands behind you, aeroplane wings. Flowing smoothly into warrior three in a dream world. If not, just making your way to warrior three. So concentrating on trying to keep both glutes in one line. Very tempting to lift our leg higher by opening up the hip. Trying to avoid that, trying to find that core engagement. Finding that drishti, that focus point. And then bringing your hands down to the mat, taking a micro bend in the left knee, coming to standing splits. Chest is melting down to shin. Keep lifting that right leg high. Again, we're not opening the hips here. We're doing this more Iyengar style. And then bringing your hands down to the ground, walk your hands further forward so palms are flat on the floor. Start to take weight into the hands. Come onto the tiptoes of your left foot. Maybe take some little handstand hops here. Maybe even hop up into a handstand if that is in your practice. And then lowering yourself down again. Come into our halfway lift. Exhaling to forward fold. Inhaling, sweeping your hands up to the sky. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Come into mountain pose. Pausing here. Regaining your breath. Maybe you didn't breathe for the last few postures. It's very common. When we need our breath the most is when we start to hold it. So that's why we're trying to keep this consistent Ujjayi breath throughout this practice. Opening the eyes. And inhaling your hands to the sky. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhaling to fold. And bringing the weight slightly further forward than you would usually. Floating back into chaturanga if you can. So landing with bent arms. If that isn't in your practice, just come into plank. Flow through your vinyasa. Meeting back in downward facing dog. So for those of you that enjoyed Eye of the Tiger 1 earlier, we're going to do Eye of the Tiger 2. So taking your right leg to the sky. Bring the right knee across the body to your left elbow. Take the right foot back to the sky, just warming up, then bringing it across the body again, left elbow, back to the sky. Last time, bringing it across the body, pausing with the knee on your elbow, turn that left foot out, warrior one style, sole of the foot to the ground, take your left hand to the sky, or take a hold of your toes, start to straighten that leg, really pressing down through the right hand, straightening the leg for 3, for 2, for 1, three-legged dog, right foot to the sky, really nice. Stepping forward to the top of the mat, finding crescent lunge, high lunge, reaching high again. So we want this scissoring action of trying to pull your front leg back, your back leg forward. So this kind of scissoring action, we're lifting our hip bones, little fingers turning it. From here, we're going to move into warrior two. So our left foot spins out. We start to press down through the outside of that back foot. Then we take our arms wide, gazing over the middle finger of the front hand. So really concentrating on making sure that your front shin is like a skyscraper. We don't want this leaning Tower of Pisa. If you want to come deeper into the pose, we sink deeper into the front leg without losing integrity here. Keeping a strong position, we're going to turn our right hand over and reach forward, but pause here, pause here. We all want to reverse, we are going to reverse, but we're just pausing, taking your chest towards your thigh. We're going to reverse, but keeping our left arm up and active. So start to reverse, do not bind, do not slide the back hand down the back leg. Keep that back hand up and active. And coming back to warrior two. So starting to find a bit of space here. We're going to try and come onto the tiptoes of the front foot. We're going to try and come onto the tiptoes of the back foot. And lowering back down to warrior two. Bringing your hands down to your hips, turn so your heels are in, your toes are out, come into goddess pose. So we're turning to face this way, heels are in, toes are out. Start to sink down into goddess, really pressing your knees out. And then interlacing our fingers, start to push away the sky, start to sink lower into the pose, keep pressing the knees out. Keep engaging the core, keep pressing the sky away with our palms. Sink in a little bit lower if you can. Seeing if we can hold this for 20 minutes. No, we're not going to do that either. We're going to bring our hands to our hips, start to straighten your legs, start to turn the feet so they run parallel with the short edge. And then we're going to come down into a wide-legged forward fold, hands on the hips. We're going to be here for a few breaths, so start to hinge down, hands on your hips, coming down into a forward fold. We're going to be here for a few breaths, so maybe you walk your hands back towards your hips. Maybe you come into a tripod headstand here. Maybe you come into any other inversions that you're working on. If you're not working on any of those things, then just find relaxation in this pose. Just completely relax. Coming into the last couple of breaths here. And then start to walk your hands forward. And then start to walk your hands around to the top of the mat. So we end with our right leg forward, left hand runs parallel, finding a twist, taking your hand up to the sky. So finding a twist, we're on the toes of the back foot, we're reaching to the sky. And coming back to the center, pressing yourself back to plank, flowing through your vinyasa. Option of up dog or cobra. Meeting back in downward facing dog. From downward taking dog, taking one full breath. At the end of your exhale, maybe look beyond the hands, lift the heels, bend the knees, hop silently to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, elongate. Exhale to fold. Sweep your hands up to the sky. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Back to mountain pose. Flowing through, taking this sequence on the opposite side. Inhaling, hands high. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, shoulders are still away from the ears. Exhaling to fold, stepping back, plank or chaturanga. Lowering down, up dog or cobra. Exhaling back to downward facing. Coming into our eye of the tiger two now. So left foot to the sky. Left knee to left elbow. Left foot back to the sky. Left knee to left elbow, outside of the elbow if possible, back to the sky. Left knee to left elbow, keeping it here. Right foot spins out, warrior one style. Straighten the back leg, press down through the left hand, right hand to the sky, or take a hold of your toes. Start to extend that leg for 3, for 2, for 1. Beautiful. Three-legged dog, three-legged dog. Really nice. Stepping forward to high lunge, crescent lunge. Reaching high, sweeping the hands up to the sky. I'm preparing to transition to warrior two. So this right foot is spinning out. We're turning towards your right hand side, taking the gaze over the middle finger of your left hand. So we want to be turning our pelvis completely to the right, and then just allowing your hip to start to move half an inch, peeking towards the front of the room, pressing down through the outside of that back leg. You should be feeling this in the inner seam of that right leg. It should feel like a strong pose, quite an intense pose. Warrior two, strong posture. Preparing to come into our reversal. First of all, we're turning our hand over, reaching forwards, pausing here, taking the outside of the chest towards the thigh. Then we're going to reverse. We're going to keep that back arm up and active, taking the hand back, keeping the right arm up. And then coming back to warrior two. Trying to find space on this side. Can we come onto the tiptoes of the front foot? Can we come onto the tiptoes of the back foot? Lowering back down. Bringing hands to the hips, turning into our goddess pose. Heels are in, toes are out, sinking down, interlacing the fingers one step down, so the unnatural way, pushing away the sky, trying to sink a little bit lower than last time. Keep those knees pressing out, core is engaged, should be an intense posture. Keep trying to roll your shoulders back, keep trying to push the sky away. And bring the hands to the hips, start to straighten the legs, turn the feet, toes are facing the long edge of the mat. We're going to fold down again. This time you can interlace your fingers behind your back, coming down into our forward fold. Keep trying to straighten those arms. Try and bring that ball over your head, only stopping when you reach the floor. Maybe, probably not, but keep working on straightening the arms. Keep relaxing into the pose, breathing into the posture, keeping that constant, audible Ujjayi breath. This Ujjayi breath is an audible breath. If you're practicing with someone else, your neighbor on the next mat should be able to hear you. If you're practicing on your own and your next door neighbor can hear you, that's probably a bit much. Starting to bring your hands in front of you, walking your hands forward and come into that position where the left foot is forward, the right hand is parallel, finding that twist, both shoulders into one line, gazing up at the hand on the toes of the back foot. Coming back to plank pose, pressing yourself back into a vinyasa, so flowing through, up dog or cobra. Meeting back in downward facing. Taking one full breath here. At the end of your exhale, making your way to the top of the mat. Hop, step, jump, float. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhaling to fold. Inhaling, sweeping your hands to the sky. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Back to mountain pose, closing the eyes again, checking in with the body. Taking a moment here. Noticing if this is still feeling like a strong posture. Are we still lifting our knees, or our calves switched on, or our quadriceps switched on? It's the crown of our head being pulled towards the ceiling. And opening the eyes. And starting to flow again, inhaling, sweeping your hands to the sky, exhaling, hands to the ground. Inhale, halfway lift, exhaling to fold, stepping back, plank or chaturanga. Flowing through your vinyasa, up dog or cobra. Exhaling back to downward facing dog. We're going to take our right foot up to the sky and then bring your right knee to the right elbow. Take your foot across the mat, slide back into pigeon pose. But we're going to make pigeon a little bit more active. So we're going to grab a hold of our block and place it underneath your glute. So we're sitting back on the block. So all the weight is now on the block. We can take a hold of our right ankle and take our legs so the shin is parallel to the top of the mat. Then start to try and wrap your left hip down to the mat and start to walk the hands forward. So it should feel like when I'm wrapping this left hip down, my right glute is lifting. So we're trying to improve our active range of motion here. So rather than doing this yin style and just having our heel right next to our glute and collapsing in this position that we hold for 5 minutes, we're instead trying to keep this shin parallel, really keep wrapping that left hip down, keep walking your hands forward. It should feel like you don't want to hold this for 5 minutes. If you're feeling very relaxed here, you're probably not doing this. Keep wrapping your left hip down and then walking your hands back, coming back to downward facing dog, walking out the dog, just walking out that last pose. Taking a moment here. And then taking your left foot up to the sky, left knee to left elbow, turn your foot across the mat, sliding back to pigeon, taking a hold of your block, placing it under your left glute, sitting on the block. We can walk our shin parallel to the top of the mat, and then we start to wrap the hip down, start to walk the hands forward. Keep wrapping that right hip down. Keep trying to walk your hands forward. So if you don't have a block, you could use a book or anything else that would do this job. Constantly wrapping that right hip, walking your hands forward. We're not focused on getting the head to the ground here. More focused on bringing that right hip down to the ground. Taking another couple of breaths here. And then pressing yourself back to downward facing dog. Walking out the dog. And taking one full breath here. At the end of your exhale, looking beyond the hands, lifting the heels, bending the knees, hopping silently to the top of the mat. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, sweeping your hands to the sky, keeping your hands high, coming onto your tiptoes. So we're trying to raise up as high as we can. Stay on the tiptoes, keep taking your hands to the sky. We're going to lower and end up sitting on our heels like this, but we're going to lower to the count of 10. So low in 10, 9, we're still on the tiptoes, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice. Take your hands forward, lean slightly forward, and sit back into Navasana. Sit back into boat pose. Really nice. From boat pose, we're lowering down into low boat. So keeping your head just an inch from the ground. Feet are off the ground. Your head should be so far back you're looking at the ceiling. And then sitting back up into boat pose. So you're finding this connection between hip flexors and core. Maybe you straighten the legs, maybe you keep a bend in the knees. Maybe you take a life jacket and take a hold of your hamstrings or bring your hands to the ground. Then returning to low boat, lowering down, screwing your belly button into the mat here. Gazes up at the ceiling, head an inch from the ground, feet an inch from the ground. Last time, coming back up into boat pose. Can we straighten the legs this time? And meeting on our backs, bringing knees into the chest, slowly lower yourself down, bring your knees into your chest, take a gentle rock, hug your knees, console yourself, it's nearly all over. We're going to find a twist now. So bringing the soles of your feet down to the ground, shifting your hips slightly to the left, take your arms wide, and then to bring the knees together again and bring them up to your chest. Let the knees fall to the right hand side. So finding a reclining twist. So we have a few options in this twist. You can keep your arms wide. You could bring your arms into more of a cactus position, taking a bend in each elbow. You can keep your head in the center. You could turn your head towards the knees to target your left shoulder. You could turn your head away from the knees to target the upper back. Whatever option you find, taking the one that allows you to relax the most here. So we're trying to move away now from all of the forcing and striving we've been doing. Trying to find that place of comfort and relaxation. So start to really relax into this pose. Let the pose do all of the work. And start to enjoy this feeling of doing less but feeling more. As we sink a little bit deeper into the mat. And bringing your left hand across the body to join the right. Pause on your right hand side for a moment. And then making your way onto your back again. Shifting the hips to the right, knees fall to the left. Finding that twist again. All of those options from the previous side apply, so feel free to play with the position of hands and head. And once you've found that place of comfort, start to connect to the sensations in the body. Start to notice how they change throughout this pose. Start to notice how this pose affects the breath. Start to notice what happens when you happen to breathe, especially the exhalation. Maybe you feel a softening. Maybe you can let go a little bit more. Maybe you can sink a little bit deeper into your mat. And keeping your knees as they are, bring your right hand across the body to join the left. Pause on your left hand side for a moment. Before making your way onto your back, hugging the knees into the chest, bringing your forehead towards the knees, taking that rounding of the upper back. Maybe taking a gentle rock. Taking any movements that feel good for you now as we prepare to come into our final posture, Shavasana. So making yourself comfortable, laying on your back, sliding your shoulders down away from your ears, closing your eyes or softening the gaze, and starting to find stillness. Finding stillness of the body, finding stillness of the breath, finding stillness of the mind. And every time the mind does start to wander, keep bringing it back to the sensations in the body. Keep bringing it back to the sensations of the breath. And slowly starting to bring some awareness back into the body by gently moving your fingers and toes. And in your own time, taking a big stretch through the whole body, taking your arms up overhead. Bringing the knees into the chest and turning onto your right hand side. Pausing here for a moment. Maybe using the right arm as a pillow. Keeping the eyes closed, using the left hand to push your way up to a seated position. Bringing the palms together in prayer at heart center. Gently bowing the head and bringing the fingertips to third eye point. Namaste.